Good evening, everybody, and welcome. It is day number 157, and as you can see, still not in the Palatial Studios. I'm in a different Palatial Studio. I'm actually out here in the middle of nowhere. I am in the state of Virginia. We'll be here Monday, be heading back to Pennsylvania. So the updates continue to come. There will be no change to that. Day 157, and this is a day of chaos. This is July the 30th, 2022. For sure, crazy day here. Not only the United States, Asia, and of course our focus, the war in Ukraine. So we're going to get you completely updated tonight. I've got some video to share. I'm in a little different situation tonight. Got a little better internet, and welcome to you. Got the deer over my head and the bear on the wall, and we're ready to go. So thank you very much for being here and for being a part of the updates. Thank you to Jeffrey Burnett, as always, for taking care of the moderation, and let's get right to it, folks. I want to start here tonight and do another update on Olenivka. Today we do have confirmation that 50 Ukrainian soldiers were now killed, and Russia finally released the list of those names of those killed. Of course, the international community trying to figure out a way to return those bodies to Ukraine. This is an absolute act of barbaric terrorism, completely validated, recognized by world leaders, recognized by international governments, and there is no other way to look at it other than this is a serious act of terrorism. Here today, this is what happened earlier today. A married couple out of Mariupol put out a post and a tweet that talked about the Azov soldiers, how they were shelled and Ukrainian soldiers were Nazis. Then the Russian embassy in the United Kingdom came out with a tweet and said the Azov militants deserve execution, but death not by firing squad, but by hanging, because they're not real soldiers. They deserve a humiliating death. That came out and was dancing around all this morning. And then Chris Bryant is an MP there in the UK. He stated in response to the Russian embassy in the United Kingdom, the embassy in the United Kingdom making those statements. Chris Bryant said, this should be illegal. This is calling for war crimes. It is time the UK sent the whole Russian embassy packing back to Moscow. He then marked at Liz Truss, what are you going to do about this? So that is the update, and I'm going to tell you, it's heating up everywhere. We're going to talk about it over the next few minutes. For example, let me show you this today before we go any further. Moscow today was testing their missile air raid warning sirens. I have a clip of it for sure. This was today. This was Moscow, and you can hear it right here. You know, it's like the world is getting prepared for something, and 100% that was Moscow. Early in that little clip there, the large building to the left, I recognize it. I know it is absolutely Moscow. Now, to continue moving, Edgar Rinkovic, we've quoted from him quite a bit. He's Latvian foreign minister. He said, I condemn the brutal murder of Ukrainian POWs by the Russian armed forces in Olenivka and ongoing atrocities committed by the Russian military against Ukraine. Here's where it gets interesting. He says the EU must consider Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. I reiterate proposal to impose EU tourist visa ban for Russian citizens. Now, it's not just the heat on the American government to mark Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism, but now the heat is being turned up also in the EU. With that said, the White House and Blinken today came out and said that they are hesitant. Now, of course, this was before President Biden, for the second time this week, diagnosed with Charlie 19. Who knows what's going on in Washington, D.C., and I wish him the best for his health. It's not about that, but it's just the chaos that's happening in our country and in our world. White House, which would be the Biden administration, and Blinken very hesitant. Even after the United States Senate has said mark Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. In House committees, they have come out, not the full House, but House committees have come out and said mark Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. The reason that the United States is hesitant to do that, this is directly from Blinken, the Secretary of State. He said, if we do that, then all possible communication with Moscow is most likely eliminated. Well, you know, we didn't have a problem marking Cuba, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, and North Korea. And I think we still communicate with those nations. Listen, it's time to get bold. We're so close, and I know everybody's out there watching the China news. You're watching Nancy Pelosi. Is she in an airplane or not? We'll talk about that in a moment. This world is completely destabilized and falling more apart by the moment. Now, on the front scene today in Ukraine, very, very active. We've had strikes and shelling in Kharkiv continuing, with fatalities. Mykolaiv at the bottom of the map center. You know these cities by now. Shelling continual with fatalities, civilians, folks. The blue dot there just above Melitopol, that represents Novakhovka. And today, Ukraine had a major strike, taking out much infrastructure as far as the ability to feed the machine, military warehouses, storages, infrastructure for transportation. Ukraine did a phenomenal job there at the blue circle. We'll look at those black arrows in just a moment, but looking over to the east, of course, you see the mid-red circle there, which is Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, Druzhkovka, and of course, Bakhmut. Bakhmut is still the major target. I'm going to look a little closer in the east because today the general staff met with Zelensky and also Budanov, who is the director of their CIA, their intelligence, and they were looking at multiple things, but one of the things they were looking at was the east. And we see that Russia is doing a real rotation in the east, and I'll show you about that in a moment. As well, Russia is trying to reinforce the south. Why? Because Ukraine is doing such a good job. Today, video came in, and I was able to get some of it. This is infrastructure moving through Crimea, which would be at the south of the map. The black arrows there coming up into Kherson, coming up into Zaporozhye. And what's interesting, there was military equipment moving, and this is military equipment, but this was a lot of infrastructure equipment, construction equipment, fuel trucks, supply trucks. I'll let you see it right here. And that train goes on and on and on. Now, a little bit closer look at the south. Not only Novakhovka, right below Nikopol there, but every red box that you see represented in occupied Russian territory over the last 24 hours, this is where Ukraine has hit the target as far as damaging behind the scenes, the infrastructure, the transport routes, supply lines. Could you imagine if they had the ability to reach out further, what we could be taking care of right now? Yes, the Kerch Bridge would be gone. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Ukraine, they're not cowards. The rest of the world may be weak. The rest of the world may be basically spineless. But Ukraine is not. And they know that if Russia is not defeated here, then it is going to be bad news for Europe. So that is some really good stuff. Now, closer into the east, this is what Zelensky and the guys were meeting about in Kyiv today. The blue circle, of course, is to finish off the Donetsk Oblast, and that's what you continue to hear that Russia wants to do before they continue to move, is to finish off that Donetsk Oblast, which would include the towns of Bakhmut, Konstantinovka, Kramatorsk, and Slavyansk. Russia today, or this is what was coming out of Kyiv, has done some rotations. So where the push has been up on those green circles on the right, like to Seversk and pushing into Bakhmut, They're still pushing there. They're still shelling there. But the reinforcements are actually wrapping around to the bottom there, that green circle, that's Velikia Novosovka. They're wrapping around to there. They're also trying to wrap around to the north. And once again, you know, we've looked at this in several occasions. Russia is now trying to put the pinch on a larger region there, including all of those towns, and try to get in behind the Ukrainian troops. I don't think it can happen, and Ukraine is very well aware of it. But the reality is, troops are rotating. More troops are coming. And I know you hear about desertions, you hear about they want to quit, they're wore out, they're tired. All of that is true. But more are coming. The equipment is there, and Russia's plan is to rotate around, come in from the north, and to come in from the south. The good news is, Ukraine is very, very aware of it. Now, mandatory evacuations in Donetsk. This came out after Zelensky's meeting today, and you see the picture here. This is Irina Vereshchuk. Her job is to take care of the humanitarian side, the infrastructure side, refugee side, humanitarian corridors. When I'm in Ukraine in a month from now, Zhenya gets his information from her department, her office. That's who's coordinating all of this with the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations. Her office came out today, and she's very powerful. She's the boss. She says, Donetsk. Where is Donetsk? Come back to here. All of this blue circle. We're not talking about the occupied Donetsk. We're talking about the unoccupied Donetsk. She told the citizens there, no more options. Mandatory evacuations. We're looking at a minimum of trying to get over 300,000 adults and 50-some thousand children out. That's just what they know on rough estimates. Not forced, sorry. Mandatory. Now, will they do it? Will the citizens do it or not? We shall see. But Kyiv has said, it's time to go. You have to leave because the weather's changing, the battle's going to continue, we cannot guarantee your safety, and there is the most important reason. All the heating infrastructure, all the gas networks, all the grids are damaged or destroyed. There is no way to heat you this fall and winter. And folks, as I've told you many times, the fall and the winter is coming very quick. Now, we've talked about Ukrainian grain being stolen and resold. We've talked about Ukrainian steel being sold, stolen. Now, this is directly from the BBC, and not only the BBC, but this is also from the Institute of the Study of War, and they have came out and they said, listen, Ukrainian sunflowers and sunflower products, of which I remind you that Ukraine supplies over 50% of the sunflower products that the entire world runs on. Sunflower products are being stolen right now. The green arrow, they are being pushed out of Ukraine. They are heading toward, the northern way would be toward Moscow, to the east would be toward Rostov-on-Don, and then wrapping down around Sochi, of course, heading to the Black Sea or heading to rail transports for sell. Stolen. Steal money. Steal sunflowers. Steal seed. Steal everything. Sanctions, they don't work. Why? Because you're looting the enemy. This is so simple to see. Well, we're sanctioning you, Moscow. Yeah, well, that's okay. We'll just go steal more sunflowers. You see, there's a major plan afoot here. But with that said, I agree with the Lithuanian foreign minister. Sanctions will not work. They may have minimal impacts, but they will not work. They will not stop Vladimir Putin and his mission, as was stated today by the American representative to the United Nations. She came out today and said, listen, world, it's obvious now that Vladimir Putin wants to erase not only eastern Ukraine, but all of Ukraine. We see that happening. Now, maybe you see news about this or haven't seen news about this, but I want you to know that every time a Russian soldier is captured, they are interrogated. Now, they're done in a very normal way, and I know you've seen the conferences where the Russian soldiers are speaking, or you've seen videos or YouTubes about this. Well, these are facts. Now, what Ukraine does is they interrogate, ask questions, they film, and they force, listen to this, they force the Russian soldier, and they're not beating them or nothing, they dial the phone and say, talk to your wife, talk to your mother, talk to your father, tell them what's going on. Folks, I have a clip of that that was sent out today, translated for you. This is what really happens.
Добрый день, это Оксана?
Это Оксана.
Меня зовут Владимир, я журналист из Украины. Желаете ли поговорить со своим мужем? Мужем, правильно?
Да, да, да.
Он в плену
Я готова
находится.
поговорить.
Да.
Я готова поговорить, если можно, после 9 вечера, я на работе.
Она не поняла вообще чуть-чуть. Муж в плену. Ксюня!
У вас муж
Оксана,
в плену?
я в плену вообще-то. Да, я.
Я знаю.
Ну, у нас просто не будет возможности, мы будем несколько заняты к 9 вечера. Поэтому, если хотите, можете сейчас пару слов
Хорошо,
сказать.
говорите.
Да я не хочу, я вас просто уведомляю, что это под записи и для публикации разговора, вы говорите.
Алло.
Алло, Игорюня.
Да, Ксюнь.
Алло.
Да, я
Мальчик мой, привет.
Привет, я в Украине, я в плену. Что ты на работе? Что ты
Я
ночью?
знаю.
Что, у тебя все
Я
нормально?
все знаю.
У тебя все нормально?
Ой, не надо обо мне. Не надо обо мне.
У
У тебя что?
У меня все хорошо. Ну,
В какой области? Очень. В какой области ты находишься?
в Украине, Ксюнь, без понятия.
Мгм.
Мать в курсе?
Да. Ей Влад сказал.
Понятно.
Она как кричит, короче.
Ясно. Ну, все нормально. Ожидаем, вроде как ожидаем обмена, а там как карта ляжет.
I know exactly what you're thinking right now. PG, that was fake. That's set up. It's not. That happens every day. Every soldier possible, they force them to call home to tell the truth about what's going on. I know you see the guys there smiling. They do it every day. I've seen dozens of videos of these guys, but I had this one translated, and I wanted you to see it. They see this every day. You know what? We've got your husband here captured. Okay, well, I'm at work right now. Call me back after 9 o'clock. What? Folks, this is reality. And I know it's hard to believe, but this is the reality of what's going on. Finally, we come to the last topic of the night, and no solid answers. None. China heats up quickly. The terror alarm, that is from Israel, come out and said China continues to relentlessly fire a barrage of live shells into Taiwan Strait while telling its citizenry that this is just a military exercise. Meanwhile, Taiwan has deployed air defense systems to the airport, civilian facility. We know that SPAR 19 is potentially the airplane number and plane that Nancy Pelosi is on. We think that she went to Hawaii, and just before streaming this, it came out that she's left Hawaii and she's en route to Taiwan. Who knows? Here's what I'm telling you. We're watching it. And this is so important. And this is directly connected to Russia, Ukraine, and the rest of the world, and of course the United States. I have no idea what to tell you, but I don't want to share anything until we have confirmed facts. The facts are, it is boiling hot in China. And the fact is, we will see what happens. Maybe by tomorrow we'll have more information. May the Lord bless you guys. We'll see you in 23 hours for the next update. You're updated fully, day 157. You guys have a good night. Peace to you, and peace to Ukraine.